Have you ever looked at someone and thought, well, if I had that, I'd probably be confident as well? What would you expect a confident person to have in their life? Money? Luxury items? Luck? Are these the things that make somebody confident? What have I told you? There's actually none of that. In this episode of Let's Talk Confidence, we're going to dive into what confident people have in their lives, what makes them that way, and how you can have it too. Welcome to Let's Talk Confidence, the first and last place you need to go to build long-lasting confidence. I'm your host and coach, Josh Sutton. Let's dive into today's episode. Have you ever caught yourself looking at someone and thinking, yeah, if I had that, then I'd be feeling pretty confident too. If I had that car, if I lived in that house, if I had that job title, if I was married to someone who looked like that, I'd be feeling pretty confident too. I remember being a pretty weedy kid in the gym when I first started going and seeing these massive dudes like bench pressing twice my weight and thinking, God, if I look like them, I'd feel invincible. And of course, part of the illusion of life is that if we get these things, the big house, the bank accounts, the great job, then not only do we not feel any better than we did before once the initial excitement wears off, we often actually feel worse. The great body has to be maintained for fear of losing it. The person with the supposed great job survives under the crushing weight of responsibility and expectations. The big house has more rooms to clean, is harder to manage. And look, it's not that these things are bad. It's the assumption that they'll make us feel a certain way, make us feel confident, that's time and again shown to be false. You'd think we'd learn, right? But no sooner have we got that thing we'd always wanted, we feel exactly the same as we did before. And think to ourselves, maybe if I got that thing, then I'd start to feel okay. Then I'd feel invincible. Now look, logically, you might go, nah, I don't do that. Examine your own thoughts and emotions. You might find otherwise. I call it the if-then fallacy. If I get that thing missing in my life, then I'll feel complete, happy, whole, satisfied. It's this mindset that's robbing you of your joy and your confidence. Back to my gym example. 6 years after my weedy self started going to the gym, I'd got to a fairly good place, a fairly impressive state. Big muscles, visible six-pack. I was looking good. I found a picture of me the other day at 21 just before my wedding and I thought, gee, you did look alright actually. The thing is, I don't remember how I looked at the time, but I do remember how I felt at the time. Do you know how I felt? Hungry. Lethargic. Not confident though. I thought I needed to drop another 2% body fat and then I'd look as I wanted to. What I actually needed was a cheeseburger and a hug. See, whilst confidence is something we can obtain, it isn't something that we receive as part of the package of getting something else. Example, when I get that job, then I'll feel like I've made it. Then I'll feel successful. When I'm in that relationship, then I'll feel worthy. Then I'll feel lovable. I know it's tempting to think like that, but it simply isn't true. I've seen it too many times working with people. The big question is then, if these aren't the things that give us confidence, then what is? I want to share with you 3 things that I see that confident people have in common. Now, these people that I'm referring to, they vary massively in age, gender, wealth, education levels, and everything else. But I describe them as genuinely confident people. And they all have these same traits, characteristics in common. First up then, let me ask you a question. Who are you? I don't mean your name, that was assigned to you at birth. I don't mean where you're geographically located. I don't mean who your co-inhabitants are, who you're living with. I don't mean how you exchange your time and effort for money as in your job. Who are you? at the very core of your being? I'll wait. See, most people I speak to can't answer that question particularly well. If I ask that question, they'll essentially read out their CV to me with a sprinkle of family. Let me put it another way. If I kidnapped you and erased all the information that had ever been stored about you from the records as if you didn't exist, your birth, bank accounts, qualifications, etc., and I placed you on a desert island by yourself, no family or friends, who would you be then? Again, I'll wait. Now, if you're struggling with this question, let me help you out. Here are some of the questions that I want you to think about. What are your values, your principles, the things you're prepared to get into an argument about, the swords you're prepared to fall on? What's your strengths and your weaknesses? What lights you up? What frustrates you? What annoys you? What makes you joyful, angry, peaceful? What are your interests? What do you care about? What are you living for? And here's the kicker. What's the narrative about yourself? What do you believe about yourself to be true? What's the stories that you have subconsciously on repeat about yourself all day long? This is who you are. I call it identity. And 99% of the people I speak to can't answer those questions very confidently. Most will give me a response if I ask them, but the answer is usually somewhere between a guess and telling me what they think the right answer is or that I want to hear. But confident people, different story. They know all of this. They know what lights them up. They know their values and what they're working on. They know what direction they're heading in. They know what value they bring to those around them, to others. They don't have to pretend. They don't wear a mask. They are unapologetically themselves. They don't exaggerate. They don't tear themselves down or big themselves up. They ask questions of others. They're curious and interested and humble. They're genuine and clear. There's a simplicity about them that's really quite attractive. Sounds good, right? I know I'm working on becoming this version of myself. Why is this important? Why do we need to be clear about how we're talking to ourselves? It's important because how we talk to ourselves and what we believe about ourselves shapes every single decision we make and every single action that we take. It's also the root cause of most of the problems people come to me with. Example, Josh, I struggle with self-doubt. That's because you don't trust yourself enough to do a good job. That's how you see yourself. Josh, I let people walk all over me. That's because you're running a story in your head that if you stand up for yourself, people might abandon you. Josh, I really struggle with imposter syndrome. That's a common one. That's because you fundamentally believe that what you do isn't good enough or living up to a certain standard you've created in your own mind. Now look, I've made some generalizations there. But in most cases, this is what I find when working with people. There is some story, some belief running the show in the background that people are unaware of and aren't challenging. Understanding this, challenging it, and changing it will put you in a great place to start building long-lasting confidence. Confident people know who they are. Point number one. Second then, confident people are always pushing themselves. There's a real paradoxical dance in life that's represented by a coin. On one side of the coin is pain, and on the other side, character. You will have met people who seem daunted by the smallest tasks. They'll tell you just how difficult it is. Oh, I had to give a presentation at work the other day. Oh, it's a nightmare. 5 minutes long. It was a nightmare. I ran out of milk the other day, so I had to go out and fetch some, and it was raining. I hung the washing out the other day, And within 10 minutes, it was pouring it down. I mean, that is quite annoying, to be fair. But it's like it ruined the rest of their day. These people seem put out and daunted by the smallest thing, and quite frankly, are draining to be around. You will have also met people who are the opposite. They glide into rooms. They talk on stage like they're grabbing a coffee with a friend. They run huge projects involving many people without really bothering them. If you think that some people are, they're just like that, then I'm here to tell you, my friend, you're wrong. See, what confident people do is they constantly evolve, constantly pushing themselves to places that feel uncomfortable. Bit by bit, week by week, day by day, they become more capable and skillful by being in that place of discomfort. It quite simply is the only way to grow. That pain you're going through at the moment that you're wishing away, much of the time, that's your ticket to something bigger and better later on, within reason. And people come to me and ask, Josh, how do I become confident in speaking in front of 100 people? And I'll often say, go and practice in front of 1,000. And I'm not being facetious. Do you think if you regularly started doing talks in front of 1,000 people, that speaking in front of 100 would bother you after a while? I went for a run on Saturday morning. I did 21.1k kilometres, otherwise known as a half marathon. I did it for a laugh. I just think it's a great way to start your weekend. The friend I did it with, he carried on and ran back home. He clocked 33 kilometres. Now look, 21k was quite enough for me. I was done. But for him, it was no bother to just carry on. Why? Well, he's training for a marathon. 42.2 kilometres. 33k for him was decent enough training, but the race he's training for isn't far out, and he said he probably could have done a little bit more. Now look, for many of you listening, the thought of running to the end of your street feels a little daunting, let alone tens of kilometres. And look, that's okay. This is just one very specific area. But I tell you this story to illustrate the point. Our confidence potential rests on the limitations we place upon it. The degree to which you are willing to push yourself and go through the pain of uncertainty and nerves, and they are genuine pains, is the degree by which your potential confidence can grow. I'll say that again. The degree to which you are willing to push yourself and go through the pain of uncertainty and nerves and, I don't want to do that, is the degree by which your potential confidence can grow. Oh, I could never have the confidence to do that, I hear you say. Well, then you're probably right. And so I ask you, when was the last time you challenged yourself? Like really challenge yourself. When was the last time you purposely chose to do something that you felt uneasy about in a positive way? Because we'll all have these moments that come up. Moments where we could stay safe or put ourselves out there. And here's the main difference that separates the average Joes from the truly confident. In the precise moment when you're making a decision, when you can see the choice laid before you of either feeling highly uncomfortable and risking looking foolish and rejection and humiliation, or retreating and playing it safe, confident people decide the difficult route by default. They feel just as nervous as you do. They have those same butterflies whizzing around in their stomach, the same doubts screaming at them in their heads. Everything in their nervous system telling them to be safe. Yet they step out anyway. They ignore the emotions and know logically that this will be the best thing for them. They're too curious to not see what lays on the other side of the discomfort they're going to put themselves through. Many, many examples of this. Asking someone on a date, challenging someone by standing up for something you believe in, sharing an idea at work that's a little bit out there, asking someone for something when you have no right to do so, taking on a role that everyone else shies away from, that you volunteer yourself for. If you do this enough times, you will begin to change. Things that once bothered you no longer will. You'll grow as a person. What seems daunting to everyone else simply no longer will to you. That's what confident people do. They aren't confident, so they do exceptional things. They push themselves so that they find exceptional things normal. I encourage you to think about how you could do the same. Okay, third and finally, confident people serve others. I want to set you a challenge just to prove this point. Within the next 24 hours, I want you to compliment someone relatively unknown to you, a stranger ideally, although stranger danger, be safe and all that. And it needs to be to their face. Sorry, text messages don't count. It sounds easy enough, doesn't it? But I bet once you get there, your stomach will be looping just before you do it. Although, rewind, listen to about 5 minutes ago, and just push through it. I want you to compliment someone and notice how you feel immediately afterwards. My guess is you're going to feel pretty light, airy, and a sense of confidence. You might feel a little silly as well. That's okay. The goal here isn't to make someone else necessarily feel great or get a good response. The receiver might have their own issues and not know how to take a compliment. Well, that's okay. We're looking for your action here, not somebody else's reaction. And I challenge you to do this because doing this will reveal in a very small way the impact of focusing on benefiting others rather than ourselves. There is something inherently confidence building around structuring your life around helping others. We are wired for it. Your life's mission 10,000 years ago was to contribute towards the survival of your tribe. If everybody contributed well enough, you'd have a chance of surviving as a group. If you and everyone else only served your own needs, the tribe would perish. Our brains have been built to reward us for serving others. We seem to have forgotten that a little bit. This doesn't necessarily mean choosing a whole career that serves others, teachers, doctors, caregivers. It's more a state of mind, an approach to your fellow humans, and confident people have it in spades. You can work in insurance and still be servant-hearted. You can be a bricklayer and still have a mentality of giving and serving others. I used to work in a bank when I was much younger. It's my first proper job. I worked as a customer advisor. My job, as far as I could see it, was to flog as many bank products as possible to our customers. Yet other people who had the exact same role as me saw their job to help people make great financial decisions, help them save money, help them structure their finances, give them peace. Who was right? Well, we both were. But my approach back then forced me to see the negatives of the job rather than the opportunities to serve people. And it's not the big things I'm referring to here. Forget the whole career changes. Confident people serve those around them in the real small moments, many, many times a day. They fundamentally see other people as worthy of their time and respect, and someone to benefit in some way, even if it's simply a smile, holding a door open, complimenting, helping, giving of their time and energy in some way. It's not safe though. It's messy. Other people let you down. They abandon you, they criticize you, they misunderstand you. They don't repay your kindness with the same kindness sometimes. It's far safer to look after your own means, far less risky to help other people when you have your own needs to attend to. You can live like that, sure. But there is joy in the mess. There's fruit in the kindness. There is immense satisfaction in the service. And there is confidence built in the knowledge that you have been helpful to somebody else, that you have brightened someone else's day. Spend a day complimenting people. Tell me how you feel. Okay, let's summarize them. 3 things that confident people do or have. A positive self-narrative. Number 1. Number 2, pushing themselves constantly. And number 3, always serving others. These are not things I assumed made you a confident person for most of my life. And sure, they sound nice, but can't I just try and own a Lamborghini? And then I'd feel pretty good, right? Then I'd feel pretty confident. Wrong. I get it. It's so alluring. Josh, you don't understand. If I just had that, then I'd be okay. I've never seen it work. Not in the long run. I've had people tell me that their house, their car, their job, their relationship makes them happy, but their eyes give them away. So I give you 3 challenges to start building your own confidence in the long run so that it actually lasts. Number 1, explore what you're saying to yourself. Is it positive? Are you backing yourself? Number 2, agree more often to jump out of your comfort zone, particularly in the moments that you most want to pull back and play it safe. And number 3, explore how you can serve those around you in the small moments of each day. Look, I'd love to hear how you get on. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this episode, please like it, follow me, leave a review, share it with friends and loved ones. It'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. You can find me on Instagram at Josh Sutton Coaching and other social platforms as well. I'm your coach, Josh Sutton. Let's talk confidence.